Well, in the last video we started cleaning up all of these engine cases and side covers, etc., and got to work paint stripping the rocker covers. So let's go and have a look to see how they're doing. Yeah, I've actually left them like 24 hours, so that's the sprocket cover. You wouldn't know it to look at it. So I think that's probably just about destroyed the paint, and we should just be able to brush it off, I think. I'm not absolutely sure each rocker cover absolutely needs to be replaced from where it came, but I just want to make sure I don't mix them up. Need to get some more of that paint strip as well before I run out. Bartolene TX10 works like a treat. If you ever get any of that Moore's rubbish, well, not the skin off a rice pudding. Now anyway, let's go and get a wire brush. These bristles are actually plastic, so won't do any harm. Probably have to give this a second go. Right, that's as much as wanted to come off, so I've actually cleaned up the sprocket cover, and it's the same colour underneath, so God knows why whoever painted it black decided to paint it black, because that paint looks all fine. Anyway, I'm going to clean up this mess and give it a second go. Right, here goes. Let's come back in another 24 hours and see if we can properly clean these up. Then we'll get everything in the parts washer, so to speak. Can't afford a real one, just homemade one. I don't think I'm going to put paint stripper on any of these cases, because I think that is just powder coating, and we should just be okay with the clean of these. They are the replacements, of course, but these are off the bike, and they are definitely covered in paint, so they will all need stripping, and we'll just do all the rest of the little bits as we go. This is just the bulk of it. Might as well do this little one while we're at it. I have no idea who painted this bike, whether it was the dealer or the previous owner, but it's just atrocious. Not sure actually how much paint is on this. Some of this might be the original coating, I'm not certain. But yeah, if you've been following along with this little series on this Honda VF750F, my 1984 project, bought it last April 2023. Not really had funds, to be honest, to do anything with it. Things are getting better. But yeah, I bought this a year ago, and the whole bike appeared to be covered in house paint. Horrid. All the fairings, all the engine. When I managed to get the engine running, the paint was all bubbling up. There's absolutely no heat resistance to it whatsoever. I mean, almost instantly I started the engine. Eventually, when I got the engine running. Anyway, bike's having a complete strip down. All the fairings are going to be repaired, repainted. back to the correct colours, graphics, etc. But the engine needed a strip down, partly because of the low compression, partly because of the terrible paint job, and that's what we're tackling first, because we need to get it all back together now. We've stripped it, hoping it was just a bad head gasket causing the low compression on the number 2 cylinder. We'll see. Do you think we should squeeze this in the end of the tray and do this at the same time? I think so. Okay, now we'll leave it another 24 hours. So yeah, with this, I think I don't think that's been attacked with a paintbrush by the previous owner, so I think that just needs cleaning up, to be honest. So we'll get on and do that. That's been painted though, and that, definitely that, most definitely these. It stank. You wouldn't believe how badly this bike stank. Like a freshly painted house. It was horrible. Yeah, you can just use that stuff in a sort of a 1 in 20 mix, but I've mixed it up 50-50. I've got absolute gallons of the stuff, so that come up nice and clean. To be fair, that wasn't particularly dirty to start with, but it's come up nice and clean, looking already very grim, so doing its job. Considering it started off pretty clear. Anyway, let's leave these 24 hours. We'll come back, see what they're looking like this time tomorrow. Alright, it's the next day. Let's take a look to see if we've got some better results. Yeah, definitely flaking off. That's done its job. Same here. Might need a second go on these. That doesn't seem to have touched it, so thinking the first lot of paint that came off was the only covering, and that probably is powder coating underneath, which of course paint stripper won't touch, so I might just need to clean this up and key it for a paint. Okay, let's get these all cleaned up, and maybe we need round 3. Okay, so that's everything cleaned up, and I'm not entirely sure whether we're down to powder coating or just paint that's not come off. I mean, that's definitely down to aluminium there, so I think there's bits of this that are powder coated and bits that aren't, like the face of that cover versus the sides. Anyway, we'll give this a second go. This cover here, the same. We still seem to have quite a lot of paint on the sides, and so we'll give that a second go. And this is no different really. I think that first go has taken all the paint off and just taken it down to the powder coating, so we'll give that a third go, just to remove any last flakes before we start putting everything in the parts washer. And you can already see these coming into view. They don't look vastly cleaner than they were after the first clean or strip, but they are. But I think there's just a greater depth of paint on these, which is probably why they stank to high heaven. So anyway, I'm going to give these a third go, along with the sprocket cover. Give these a second go, and we'll leave everything a further 24 hours. We'll come back and see where we're at with it then. All the fixings should just be okay to give a very light brush up with a wire wheel. I think we've pretty much got everything loose on them now, so bearing in mind these are not the original cases, these are the replacements that I've sought. They're not covered in that awful paint, so these can be spared, or I can be spared anyway, doing a big paint stripper job. So I'm just going to get these into my little bath of parts washer and see if we can get them a bit of a clean up. Just dropped all those fixings in the pot there, in the remains of that paint stripper, because I do need to get the paint that's actually in the hex sockets out. I've got most of it out, but there's still some stuck in there, little nooks and crannies. So anyway, I thought if I leave them in there, that'll do a proper job. Not so sure about all these parts, sort of rubbery, plasticky type material, whatever they're made of. I thought I'd better keep them out anyway. They should clean up. I don't think they've even got paint stuck to them, to be honest. I think it's just sort of sat on them. Anyway, see you in 24 hours in a few seconds. Right, I'm going to leave this video here for now because I've done a fair old bit of cleaning. You can see that's all out and on the bench, and this needs a little bit more work. I'll show you that in a minute. Stator cover's come up really nice, and I think probably I'll just give this a little bit of a final little polish up, all clean inside, and I might just leave that bare aluminium and just infill the Honda with black paint. Rocker covers are good. All the paint's off mostly. You can see there's sort of flecks here or there. So I think the best way to finish those off is on a wire wheel. And I'm kind of a mind to, again, leave those bare aluminium possibly. Just polish them up maybe. Save painting them. They're all lovely inside, nice and clean. The groove for the gasket probably just needs a little bit of a wire wheel out, just to clear out any last little remains of there was actually gasket sealer in there, which I don't know why anyone would have put that in there, because those rubber gaskets are designed to come in and out many times. So but they're both okay, and the other one's exactly the same. I've cleaned up all the fixings, they're all nice. No idea why I've got 4 little shims or washers for 4 of those, but I have, but they're all clean anyway. This is still in need of work. So this is the clutch side cover, all perfectly clean inside, cleaned up the gasket surface, but let's get it over here actually, put it in the tray where we can see it. As you can see, it needs a fair bit more work. Lots of areas where the paint's come off, lots of areas where it's just not touched it. I don't know whether this is powder coating that's just worn away and it was painted over and therefore nothing more is going to come off, or whether there's just more paint there. I can't tell. So I'm going to give this one more go, and if it doesn't improve, then obviously what I'll have to do is flat it off as best I can all over, and then the whole thing will need a repaint. At least this cover's going to need to be anyway. I'd like to at least get this face of the clutch cover clear, so that I could perhaps leave that bare aluminium and just paint the Honda logo black. Not forgetting the sprocket cover actually. That was really grimy in there. Pulled out a big ton load of grease and dirt. That took a bit of doing, but that looks all nice and very similar to the clutch cover. You can see where some paint's come away. I think, to be fair, yeah, it was painted all over and it's all come off, and I think that is just worn away, very similar to what I suspect with the clutch cover powder coating. So it may be that all I do with both of these covers is sort of key them and paint them again, but better than the last guy did. And of course on the sprocket cover you've got the little embossed gear arrangement, 1 neutral, 2 through to 5. So you couldn't see that when it was painted, it was just completely, you know, so full of paint. Yeah, you couldn't even see it was there. So I'll probably clean that up and try and paint those letters in really carefully with a art brush, and yeah, make that look a little nice anyway. And then we can get onto these crankcases. It's the boring part obviously, but once it's all done I can then just assess what do I need to put them all back together. Gasket set, piston rings, that's pretty much it. Then all the engine parts can just get cleaned as they go back in. Oh, I've got to do the cylinder heads, forgot about those. But I've got about 6 containers of engine parts that I'll need to pull out and clean as I go. But yeah, these cylinder heads will need paint stripping, I think. Well, definitely they were part of the problem. On the upper crankcase, between the V there is a lot of corrosion on top, so that will just need wire wheeling off. But yeah, essentially just give a good clean up and nice coat of paint. Okay, that is it for this video. I am just going to give that case there another attempt, as I said, to see if we can remove any more paint, if indeed there is any more paint on there. And then next time we will start work on the upper and lower crankcases and get all the corrosion off there, and basically get everything ready for polishing or painting and the final reassembly, and start thinking about collecting all the parts we need to assist with that. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and I will see you next time.